Week 1 is here, and we're going to preview every single game here in the SEC for Week 1, the things I'm looking for some teams, and of course we'll talk about some of the big games in the conference. Let's get right into it, and we will start with a huge one on Thursday night. Well, not a huge one. We'll get to that one in a second, but another game on Thursday night, actually. South Dakota versus Missouri. So this will be the opener here. This game for Missouri, this game will be at 8 o'clock Eastern time on the SEC network. So, FCS opponent should be an easy win for Missouri, obviously. What are we looking for in this game? Well, the quarterback position, you've got Cook back. I think he probably winds up as the guy for them this year, but you also have Jay Garcia from Miami, so I think both of those guys will get a chance to play in this game, and so I'm interested to see how they look. I believe this Missouri defense is going to be really, really good. I want to see how good they can be. Can they get a run game going? Something that they haven't done a great job at the last few years. So this will be an easy win. Should be an easy win for Missouri, but we'll be, of course, looking to see how this team does in this game and see what we can see out of those two quarterbacks. And then the big game on Thursday night is Florida, Utah. Obviously, this game will be at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And yes, I realize on these graphics it goes by Central time. That's just because that's what I'm in. This game will be on ESPN. And as of the line has moved on this game a little bit. Right now, Utah is favored by 6.5 points. They were favored by more. And I think in some places that line's actually come down even lower than that. Interesting there, and I think really that is because of Cam Rising and not knowing if he will play. I'm gonna have a much more in-depth preview on this game over on the Florida channel. If you want to check that out, I'll dive deep into some stats and things, and we'll really go through and preview this game. So that'll be coming up later today over on the Florida channel. But a big opportunity for the SEC to go on the road and pull off a big upset. Remember, Florida beat Utah last year at home. Can they do it on the road? If Cam Rising doesn't play, I think they've got a real shot. All right, moving on to Ball State and Kentucky. This game will be at noon Eastern time. This one will be on the SEC network. This is, it's not a group. It is a group of 5 team. It's not an FCS team, so it shouldn't be as big a blowout as maybe Missouri and South Dakota. And we've got some other games where FCS teams are going to be playing. SEC teams are going to be playing FCS opponents, but Kentucky is favored by 26.5 in this game, so it's a game that they should take care of business. And Ball State is kind of a middle of the road, I guess, team out of the MAC. So what are we looking for Kentucky? Can the line of scrimmage get back? Can they get that blue wall back? Can they dominate up front like they have in the past? Something that they weren't really great at last year. Ray Davis at running back, I'm really anxious to see him. And then, of course, it's all about Devin Leary, Liam Cohen. Now that he is back there, what's this offense going to look like? I don't think we'll learn a ton in this game specifically, but if Kentucky is as good as I think they're going to be, they should take care of business in this game. It should not be close. If maybe they're not as good as we think, maybe they struggle a little bit, but I feel like they're going to win, by at least 20 points in this game. Let's put it that way. All right, moving on to Virginia, Tennessee. This game's at noon Eastern time on ABC. National audience for this one. And Tennessee's actually favored more in this game against a Power 5 opponent than Kentucky is against Ball State. Tennessee's favored by 28 points in this game. So they are huge favorites in this one. And you can understand why. If you look at these two teams, Tennessee is going to score points. The offense, explosive. I don't really see any reason why they're going to drop off much from last year. Really curious or anxious to see Joe Milton there at quarterback. Now that he's the guy for them, how well will he play? Finished pretty strong in that bowl game last year. And as the defense improved, of course, that's something we'll be watching as Tennessee's defense improve, because that's what they've got to have if they're going to make a run and potentially win the SEC this year. And, Virginia, a lot of question marks for them. They're just not going to be a super talented team. Tennessee, big favorites, and that's, a good reason why. So let's move on now to Mercer, Ole Miss. This game will be at 2 o'clock Eastern time on the SEC network. Kind of an odd start time there, but it's an FCS team. Yes, Mercer's already played a game, but Ole Miss, it's kind of like with Tennessee. What are we looking for? I think we know what we're going to get from Ole Miss on offense. We know they're going to be explosive, but has the defense improved any? And you're not going to learn a ton. in an FCS game. Now, Mercer's not a bad FCS opponent, but still, I don't think we learn a whole lot in this game. So we'll see, though, how this defense does for the Rebels. Moving on to UMass and Auburn. So UMass came away with a big win last week over New Mexico State. Interestingly enough, Auburn plays UMass and New Mexico State this year, but they're favored by 30. Auburn's favored by 37 points in this game. That's a pretty big number when you consider it's the first game under Hugh Freeze, and you are playing a team that did play a game already last week. This game will be on ESPN, 3:30 Eastern Time. The window, the 3:30 Eastern Time window for Week 1 is pretty weak, by the way. So I'll probably be watching this game, and among other games. But again, this one, if it was a normal weekend and you had a bunch of big games, this is a game that probably kind of gets ignored. But we'll see. Hugh Freeze in his first game, like I said, Peyton Thorne at quarterback. Do they use Robbie Ashford? What kind of role does he have? Can they stop the run? That's something that Hugh Freeze has been a little bit concerned about. Can the offensive line protect? So a lot of things you're looking for, especially with a team like Auburn, when you have a lot of new players, you have a new coach. You really want to see what they look like in that first game. I think that line, that's a big number, though. Auburn could win this game by 30 points, but I don't know if they're going to win by that much. Again, with it being their first game under Hugh Freeze. So we'll see about that one. Moving on to Western Carolina, Arkansas. This one will be at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on the SEC Network. Arkansas, obviously going to be big favorites in this one against an FCS opponent. What are we looking for here? We're looking at the passing game. Can KJ Jefferson get some chemistry with these new wide receivers? Can they make some big explosive plays in the passing game? We know they're going to be able to run the football. And we know the defense will be fine in a game like this, but can they make some big plays in the passing game? That's what I'll be watching for from Arkansas in this one. All right, next we've got Southeastern Louisiana against Mississippi State. This game will be at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on the SEC Network. And these say SEC Network. Some of them, I guess, are probably on the app. So as far as which games are on the app and which games are on TV, I'm not 100% sure there. So yeah, actually looking at ESPN's page, this will be on the SEC Network. So Arkansas will be on the SEC Network Plus, meaning you'll have to watch that game on the app. But Mississippi State, what are we looking for here? What's the offense going to look like? A new era for them. What is this offense going to look like? How much are they going to still be an air raid, or how much are they going to be ground and pound? That'll be the big thing, of course, we're watching for in this game. Bulldogs should win easily. Next up, we've got Tennessee Martin versus Georgia. This game will be at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, and this one will be on the SEC Network. And I think this one also is a game that is on the app, so you'll need to watch this one on the app. The primetime SEC Network game will be Alabama, Middle Tennessee. But this game, Carson Beck, that's a big thing we'll be watching here. How well is he taking command of this offense? I mean, they could probably play with a wide receiver at quarterback and win this game easily. That's how big of a mismatch this is going to be. But again, I just see how he does out there. Not a lot we'll learn, honestly, in this game from Georgia. Okay, Alabama, Vanderbilt. This game will be at Alabama A&M, I should say, Vanderbilt at 7 o'clock Eastern Time on the SEC Network. Vandy's already played a game, and they didn't look all that impressive against Hawaii. Maybe Hawaii's a lot better, but I saw a lot of issues with Vanderbilt, and that's why, even coming into the season, I said I thought this team would take a little bit of a step back from where they were last year. If you look at Vanderbilt and their big wins last year, all of them had a common denominator. Mike Wright at quarterback played and had a big role, and he ran the ball a lot from that quarterback position. And also Ray Davis had big games in those games. Those two guys are gone, and I talked about that in the preseason. They're going to miss those players when they needed it. When they had big games, those two guys really stepped up for them. They still showed flashes at times of looking pretty good in this game, but there are going to be some growing pains for Vanderbilt. I just don't think they're going to have the same type of success this year that they had last year. We'll see how it plays out. But this game is against Alabama A&M. They should absolutely roll in this one. I expect them to play a lot better and win this game easily. All right, we got New Mexico versus Texas A&M. This game will be at 7 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. What are we looking for in this game? So Texas A&M is favored by 38 points, and New Mexico is not a very good team out of the Mountain West, so that's why that number is so high. It's all about the offense. Bobby Petrino, how does the offense look with him taking over? That'll be a big thing there. I'm looking at Connor Wigman. Can he take a step forward at that quarterback spot? Will Max Johnson play any and potentially challenge him? Because I'm high on Max Johnson. I think he's a good quarterback. We'll see what this team can do. Again, not really a test at all against New Mexico. They should win pretty big. Next up, we've got North Carolina, South Carolina, 7:30 Eastern time on ABC. This is going to be a huge game. Game day is actually going to be there. The game will be in Charlotte. North Carolina is favored by 2.5 points. I think this is basically a pick'em game, though. It's a tough one to predict. I look at these two teams on paper, and I do think North Carolina, top to bottom, is more talented, but I don't think by a whole lot. And we saw North Carolina, they had a lot of talent last year. Even on defense, they have talented guys, but they just did not play well there. And if the defense struggles, and if Spencer Rattler plays the way he did at the end of last season, South Carolina absolutely has a chance to win this game. So this is really a toss-up for me. I've said this before, though. If it does come down to the quarterbacks, I do trust Drake May in the fourth quarter a little bit more than Spencer Rattler. And the weapons that North Carolina has, although, star wide receiver transfer, he's going to be, I guess, not eligible this year. So there are a lot of things that could change this game. At the line of scrimmage, I think it's a pretty even battle. I mean, it's a tough one to predict. And again, it's one that I could really see going either way. But a big game there. Game day going to be there, like I said. North Carolina, South Carolina in prime time on ABC. And then we move on to Middle Tennessee versus Alabama. This will be on the SEC Network at 7:30 Eastern time. You look at the spread on this one, it's 39, so Bama's favored by a lot. Middle Tennessee actually, remember they beat Miami last year, and they've actually got a pretty good defense coming back. So I think this will be a very nice test for these new quarterbacks at Alabama, because it's not going to be just a cakewalk, but it's not going to be a tough game either. As far as, again, the offense going against this Middle Tennessee defense. Now, Middle Tennessee may not score a point in this game, but for Alabama, which quarterback, I think all three of them will play. Which one steps up here? I think Milroe probably gets the start, and then Simpson and Buckner will get their chance. And I think that quarterback competition is going to go at least through this game. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, that's what we're looking at, obviously. Which quarterback can step up? Which one will look the best? An easy answer to this one as far as what we're looking for. And then finally, we've got LSU, Florida State, primetime, 7:30 Eastern time on Sunday night. Game is on ABC. The spread for this game has LSU by 2.5, so it's basically a pick'em. I did pick LSU in the preseason, but I think Florida State has a great shot in this one. I mean, Mason Smith's out. That's a big loss for LSU. They've got plenty of depth, but that's a star player that you're going to be missing. We'll see if that plays into this one at all. I think depth-wise overall, LSU probably does have an advantage here, but Florida State's starters can match up, I think, really well with LSU. I've been hearing a lot of great things about Jordan Travis this offseason, talking about how much better he's gotten. So this is just going to be a great game, one that I am really looking forward to. I could see it going either way. I expect a lot of big-time plays in this one by a lot of great players. This is going to feel like, a playoff game. I think both these teams are really that good. I've got them both in my top 5, so that's how high I am on these two teams, and I cannot wait to see what happens in this one. I think it's clearly the game of the week, not only in the SEC, but in the whole country here for Week 1. And so that's the lineup. We'll have predictions and much more coming up later this week on the SEC channel right here.